What is going on, everybody? It is Nelly B here, and welcome back to a brand new Call of Duty Zombies weapon comparison. In this series, we do what everybody else does and compare two different weapons for things like ammo, availability, damage, reload time, fire rate, all that stuff. And today's two weapons are obviously going to be the Lightning Staff and Wunderwaffe. I just thought this would be a good comparison because the Wunderwaffe is actually kind of based on the Lightning Staff. Apparently Richtofen's favorite staff was the Lightning Staff, and it was possibly a big influence on the creation of the Wunderwaffe DG-2. So starting off with the Wunderwaffe, this basically applies to every single version of this weapon except for the World at War version, because that one's kind of weird. It takes away your jug, not the actual perk, just the ability, and you can't really get it back because in World at War, especially on single player, you go down, you're dead, because apparently quick revive just doesn't work. You don't even need to hit yourself with a Wunderwaffe like you do with jug. It just doesn't work like it should, or like it was intended to in later games. Once you get this weapon out of the box, it is going to have 3 lightning bullet thingies in the clip and 15 in reserve, meaning only 18 shots. And it sounds kind of bad, but once you realize that this thing does infinite damage, it makes it a little bit better. But then that also comes with a caveat: it only gets 10 kills per shot, and that doesn't even upgrade once it's upgraded. Spoiler alert. So you're only going to get a maximum of 180 kills with this, which technically isn't bad. It's guaranteed, but it still isn't better than most weapons that can just wreck whole horde, like the Thunder Gun and the Baby Maker. The reload time on this thing is only going to be 6 seconds, and the fire rate is 60 RPM, and this thing is actually automatic with like barely any recoil. It really just shoot this thing at a horde of zombies, you'll hit them and you're gonna kill 10 zombies, and you're not gonna have to really worry about the thing shooting up, because unless you're in the later rounds, you're not going to be shooting more than 1 shot. I'd say at about around round 25 this is going to come into play, but even then it's not even that big of a deal. You start off with 6 in the clip thingy and 30 in reserve, so you get about 360 kills at max with this thing if you're very conservative with the ammo. And also the reload speed is increased to 4.7 seconds, but this doesn't even really matter with speed cola, just cuts that in half. And also the damage doesn't get any better, and it doesn't kill more zombies. It's kind of weird. You would figure that at least you'd be able to kill like 12 to 13 zombies, but I guess they kind of just skipped over that for some reason. It's fine. The thing still does infinite damage. It doesn't nerf that at all, which would kind of be really bad, papping a weapon and having it do less damage. I think there's a weapon that does that. I'm not quite sure. If I run into it, I will let you guys know, but there's really not much more you could do to this thing without making it overpowered. I'd say this weapon is good up until about round 40 to 50. If you can get ammo for it, sure, keep using it, because it is going to kill zombies no matter what. It has infinite damage, but it doesn't have the best ammo. And sure, back in the day when this thing first dropped, it might have been the bee's knees, but it's just not gonna be the best thing. Deadwire actually is probably a better option, which is another thing I gotta add. This thing actually went through a lot of changes in Black Ops 3. It started out being completely terrible, sort of like Deadwire, which was by far the worst double pack-a-punch ability in Black Ops 3 at the start at least. And then this thing was buffed, and then crazily buffed, and then it was nerfed back to its original Black Ops 1 glory. Also, this thing isn't too hard to get. I'm really more referencing the Black Ops 3 version because I don't really have access to the Black Ops 1 or World at War version, so Black Ops 3 it is, and it's, again, not that hard to get out of the box, especially if you have Immolation Liquidation or you just hit the box enough. And I'm almost certain that you're going to get this before you get about 50% or 75% of all the weapons on the Giant. This weapon is also on the remakes of Verrucht and Shinonuma. I don't really play those maps that much, so I don't really have any gameplay, but you can also pack-a-punch it on there. But if you get it pack-a-punched or upgrade it, you're not really going to be able to use the regular version, which kind of sucks. On the Giant, it works perfectly because you're able to use it and abuse it up until you really just can't have any more ammo left, because again, it does infinite damage. And then by upgrading it, you basically just get more ammo and keep going from there, and it's really more usable and expendable on the Giant, and I do recommend it on Verrucht and Shinonuma, but there are better weapons that you could get on those maps. So moving over to the lightning staff. The regular lightning staff, each shot does 1,000 damage, and if you hit one zombie, it is going to chain to about 3 or 4 more zombies. It doesn't do much chaining like the Wunderwaffe does, but it still does a pretty decent amount of damage. But again, that damage does fall off relatively quickly compared to the other staff. So the ammo is 9 in the clip and 90 in reserves, and this is really weird because you don't get full ammo in this thing once you actually build it. You don't even get full ammo in the clip. The full ammo for this thing is actually 12 in the clip and 120 in reserves, which makes sense. They gave this weapon more ammo because it does less damage than most of the staffs on the map, but they also thought that might be a little bit too overpowered once you first get it, so let's just try and bring it down just a little bit, and I think that does help it. I think the only reason why I really like this staff was because the animation is pretty dang sick. It reminded me a lot of the Wunderwaffe, which makes sense. The Wunderwaffe was based off of this. And also the ammo. I can't tell you how weird I was with zombies for the first couple years I was playing. Ammo was a big thing for me. I didn't really think damage mattered that much. I didn't even know about headshot multiplier, so I thought the more ammo you have, the more zombies you're going to be able to kill, and that obviously isn't the case, especially with this weapon. This weapon, I'll reiterate this over and over again, it's gonna die out about round 35. The reload time is 3 seconds, but if you are playing on Black Ops 3, it's pretty easy to get quick revive. It's pretty easy to get all of the perks actually, and that reload speed won't even really matter. So the base version of this weapon is fully automatic. You can hold the trigger and it'll keep shooting. I kind of estimated with the RPM on this one. I compared it to the sound of the Shiva with double tap, and the Shiva with double tap does about 450 to 500 RPM, so this thing would be about 150 to 200 RPM, which isn't bad for a staff, especially it being fully automatic. And again, this thing has basically no recoil. You're not really gonna have to worry about it, especially if you point it at the ground, which is a cool thing with both of these weapons. If you just put them at the ground near a zombie, it'll chain to the next few ones, and you won't really have to worry about wasting ammo unless there are only a few zombies and they're really spread out, which doesn't really happen unless you're at the beginning of a round. And I don't really recommend killing zombies at the beginning of a round with these weapons. Well, obviously you gotta kill zombies at the beginning of a round, but I'd wait to train them up and get them together more, and obviously with the chain ability you're gonna want them closer. And moving up to the upgraded version, this is really weird. The only damage I found for the upgraded version was 30,000, which seems like a lot compared to the regular staff. I'm not sure if that's the damage over time that the charged ability does or the single shots. It's probably the damage over time that the charge ability does, but still, that doesn't seem right with the charge ability, because the charge ability is kind of worse. If you're going to use this thing upgraded, you're definitely not going to want to use the charge ability at all. It's kind of poop. It acts like the Wunderwaffe, but more of like a electric cherry type damage, if that makes any sense. The ammo does also get upgraded to 18 in the clip and 180 in reserves, and you do get this right off the bat. There is no waiting for a max ammo to get a full amount of ammo. You just get it, which is what should have happened with the first one, but again, I kind of understand why they nerfed the ammo once you get it. And the fully automatic ability trait goes away because of the charge ability, but you can still spam this thing pretty fast. Don't sleep on the fire rate of the lightning staff. Pretty quick. It's got good-ish ammo, but again, up to about round 35-40, you're not gonna want to use this. And about around 40 to 45, you're gonna start getting less kills than with the Wunderwaffe, and that should lead you on a bit just to where this conclusion is going. Sorry if I spoiled it, but spoiler alert, the lightning staff is bad. Again, I don't really recommend charging this thing at all. It's poop, it's garbo, it's whatever other word you want to describe it. It's just bad, and it is unarguably the worst staff on Origins. I said this a lot in the past, that I really like this thing, and it was just one of my favorite staffs next to the fire staff, because the fire staff is really good if you think about it. You can't really take it up to high rounds just simply because the game crashes, which kind of sucks. And also the Black Ops 3 fire staff isn't as good as the Black Ops 2 one, which leads me to another point. All of these staffs are very similar to their Black Ops 2 counterpart. The only thing that's really different is the reload time. Black Ops 2 is ever so slightly quicker, but the time for the storms and the charge abilities and everything else is basically the same except for the fire staff, which is understandable. For some reason the fire staff completely lagged you out of games on the old gens, and I would have figured they could have handled it on the new gens or the current gens or whatever you're on playing on the Nintendo Switch. Maybe, I don't know. You're still gonna lag out on about round 60 to 70. So in conclusion, from my perspective at least, it's pretty obvious. The lightning staff is way behind the Wunderwaffe in terms of power and high rounds capability. If you're going for the Easter egg, that's the only reason I recommend this. But other than that, you can leave this thing behind unless you feel like it will be good for ammo, which, sure, if that's what you want to do, you want to have more staffs, you can obviously do that, and I'm sure it'll help somewhat. But once you get to like round 60 to 70, the ice staff and the wind staff are your best option. But like I said, the Wunderwaffe is most useful on the Giant, for me at least. Unless you have an immolation and you're willing to use one of your Gobbleguns to pack punch this right out of the box, and Baruch Doshino Numa for the remastered versions anyways, it's sort of a good option. It's not the worst thing you could do. It'll certainly take less Gobblegun double pack of punching a weapon off the wall, but that is the safer option. You'll be able to keep buying ammo, be able to kill zombies infinitely without even needing to worry about ammo. Black Ops 3 kind of made this thing obsolete, sadly. But just like the ray gun, the Wunderwaffe had its time and its glory. But either way, if you were subscribed during Black Ops 3 or subscribed last week, it don't matter. You're here, you're happy, and you liked. Hopefully, please. Okay, at this point, I'm begging. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Peace.